Steve, what are you observing in the leadership of the Prairie of Wyoming these days?
About 3 months ago, the Presbyterian process of asking where we need to be focusing for the next 2 to 3 years. I observed that 16 of our 22 pastors will be retiring in the next 5 years. And we saw that as a significant challenge for us as a presbytery.
16 of 22 of the currently serving, these are full-time pastors serving congregations in your presbytery. And when you made this observation together, what happened in the room? What did people start to say, to think? Where have you gone since that time?
Well, first, the Committee on Ministry is in shock.
Right.
And we're beginning to say, with our difficulty of being so isolated, how do we attract quality pastors?
Sure.
Where will we find them?
So, Steve, you observed about the retirements that are about to happen in your presbytery. I wonder, how many openings do you have right now for full-time pastoral leadership?
We have 6 openings right now.
Right. 6 out of how many churches are in your
28.
6 out of 28 churches are looking for full-time called and installed pastors, or there's a mixture maybe there?
There's a mixture there.
Right. Okay.
Some are full-time and 1 or 2 are part-time.
Okay, but mostly full-time pastors. That's huge.
Yes.
Like, let's say a year ago, you've been in China. How long have you been in Presbyterian Wyoming?
Been there 6.5 years.
So let's say in this time last year, how many pastors? How many searches were on, if you can remember?
Last year we had 2 openings.
2 openings, and now there's 6 openings.
Yes.
And let's say back toward when you got started, was it along the lines of 2 or 3 a year, or?
It was along the lines of 2 or 3 a year, but we were able to easily fill them.
I see. I want to affirm what you were doing in terms of thinking about leadership and the long-term vision of the Presbyterian of Wyoming, and noticing this shift. These 22 pastors, 16 out of 22 pastors. And I know it may seem obvious, but I wonder why pastoral leadership was a part of that vision that you are thinking about at the Presbyterian of Wyoming.
Even though pastors come and go, pastors have significant influence, and especially in the time of change that our denomination is in the midst of. Not only our denomination, but all of mainline Christendom in the U.S. And so we're seeing that pastoral leadership is a key component. In our visioning process, it hadn't been finalized yet, but the first part of our vision statement is building transformational leaders.
What are some ways for us to respond? Because this, frankly, is happening, maybe it's some solace or not, across our denomination and even across the mainline church. What are some ways you think we can respond faithfully?
I think faithfully we can begin by encouraging individuals and churches to support the Theological Education Fund. That's not only a first step, that's many steps that will help overcome the barriers that many seminary students have, or many potential seminary students have, to come into Canada to see the issue of cost and financial concerns. I think it's fairly well documented that people, wherever they are in the age spectrum, are coming out of college with great debt. So there's the first issue of student loans.
Sure.
The second is if a student comes out with significant theological education debt, then they go to a small church that's paying a minimum of $42,000 a year. How do you pay off 2 debts at one time?
Right. it's hard to answer God's call and be a healthy pastor if your financial situation is under stress and strain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is a Kairos moment in the life of the church. We Presbyterians have been instrumental in the religious soil of the United States history. And it's easy for us to think of the surplus, but I think it's time for us to think of this as an opportune time in the life of the church. We Presbyterians have always been significant in rising up to the concern before us. I think that's this time now.
Right. Not just Chronos, Kairos, holy time. It's a holy moment where God teaches us, calls us to do something, to respond to the challenge. We've done it before. We've done it with hospitals. We've done it with colleges. Now we can do it with leadership.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Yes.